Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from today. We're going to start today's WebEx. So, IBM storage, a hoarding story with a happy ending. First of all, my name is Ash Giddings, pre-sale specialist here at Help Systems. I've worked in and around IBM since day one, really, and I've been at Help Systems for 14 years now. I'm a member of SEAC, the Common Europe Advisory Council, so I get early insight into what's coming with IBM a couple of years in advance, and 7.4 looks fantastic, and a regular speaker at both national and international events. And today I'm joined by Sarah Williams. Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sarah Williams. I am a support engineer for the robot product line here at Help Systems. I've been supporting the robot products for the last 25 years, so I'm sure I've had a chance to say hi to at least a couple of you. I'm so glad to see you today.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sarah. 25 years. Fantastic. Now, I didn't think I was a hoarder until last night when my wife reminded me that we used to live in a tiny, quaint, two-bedroom cottage with huge spiders. And then we moved to a large 4-bedroom detached house with a garage and so much space our voices used to echo around the house initially. Fast forward just a few years and now every room in the house is overflowing. The loft is full and so is the garage. How did that happen? Well, we, mainly me, hoard things, and I liken that scenario to disk space. If you've got space to fill, you'll find a way to fill it. And although disk space is now relatively cheap compared to years gone by, slowly but surely, you, your team, your applications will, if not keep it kept in check, will fill it. And I'm sure that's familiar to many of you. So Help Systems are thought leaders, particularly in IBM. That's where we started. That's where our pedigree is. And we do a number of things to help remain thought leaders. The first thing we do is the marketplace survey. We've been doing this for 5 years now. And really the market survey it's all about you guys. It's about your environments, your applications, your hardware, your support staff, and what areas you're focusing on. So we publish that once a year. We invite people to fill that in, and a number of 100 people actually fill that in. It's a great read. You can get a copy of that from our website. Another report that we build is the annual state of IBM security. Been doing this for 16 years, and this is fantastic as well. Really, it's made up out of the results of free security scans. So security scans on IBM again, downloadable from the website. The scan runs in a couple of minutes. And at the bottom of the scan, you can share your results anonymously. And those results help build the security study. The security scans are fantastic. As I say, a couple of minutes, they install some temporary software, create a nice glossy report for you to use and to keep. And then the results help us. And then finally, free tech updates. Both myself, Tom, Chuck, and a number of other Help Systems people perform a number of Help Systems tech updates on a daily basis. So we bring you up to speed with what Help Systems have been doing in terms of development, what maybe the product roadmaps look like, and really what our priorities are both now and going forward. We also get you to share where you're spending your time and the kind of things that are keeping you awake at night. Okay, so Help Systems offers a complete line of workload automation software products to automate a wide range of IBM functions, from job scheduling software to message management solutions, from backup and recovery to report management, and more. And each product works independently, although when used together, the products create a complete workload automation solution for your environment. Through an acquisition, the robot family now includes a capacity planning and analysis tool. This was as I say, an acquisition of MPG, and these products allow you to perform problem determination, capacity planning, and performance reporting for AX, Linux, Solaris, and HPUX. But today we're going to focus on robot space. Now, before we get started, we're just going to run the first of 2 poll questions. So let me launch this, and I'd be grateful if you could fill that poll question in that appears on your screen now. Just going to leave that open for a little while. So where do you struggle with disk space management? And you can multi-select this. There's no limit to the boxes that you pick. So maybe you don't have visibility into why your data growth is growing. Maybe there's no easy way to audit and clean up IFS data on a regular schedule basis. Maybe your current processes are maybe they don't exist, or maybe they're manual, or you could be suffering from a degradation in performance that can be attributed maybe to data growth, or finally rising storage needs and negatively impacting your budget. I'm just going to leave this open for a couple more seconds, and then I'll share it. And I'm really grateful for you for filling this in.
I don't know about you, Ash, but I think the IFS tends to be a big one.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
I'll be curious to see what everyone else has to say.
You're right, Clara. So
yeah.
IFS is up there at 81%, along with manual processes, which are cleanup processes, which are manual. Fantastic. Let's press on. So today's agenda, we're going to take a look at some of the commands that are built into the fantastic IBM I operating system that we all know and love, that allow you to both view and clean up disk space. These are what I call traditional manual methods. We'll then let Sarah loose, and she'll demonstrate live the automated modern approach with robot space. So without further ado, let's move on. Viewing commands. So these are the objects on our IBM I that need to be cleaned up. They need to be tidied up on a regular basis. History logs, journal receivers, save files. I've lost count of the number of partitions I've signed on to that have a save file called delete me, usually in QGPL or QUseAssist. We have spooled files. These accumulate, especially these days, at a really fast rate of knots. You might have image catalogs and PTF save files left over from OS upgrades, technology refreshes, PTF loads. You may still have physical files that don't reuse deleted records. These still occupy space. And of course, the IFS. This is a very popular dumping ground, particularly for applications. And one customer I work with on a regular basis, they generate 30,000 stream files each and every day. These live on the IFS, and they use help systems tools to manage these, to age them, and to delete them. And of course, the favorite at the bottom there, development or test data, living on a box and living there seemingly forever. So what can we do with that? Well, here's several commands here that we can use, and we're going to talk through some of these today before we let Sarah loose on robot space. Let's take a look at some of these. Well, the first one I'm sure you're all familiar with is work sys status. Now, what does work sys status give us, and what does it tell us? Well, bear with me one moment. What does work sys status tell us? Well, in the top right-hand corner here, we can see the percentage system ASP used. It's currently 83%. Remember, this is just sysbus. If you're running independent ASPs, this screen is of no use to you whatsoever in terms of system ASP used. Over the left-hand side there, we can see permanent and temporary addresses. Now, temporary addresses, not so much these days, but temporary addresses used to slowly build up, or build up quite quickly, until you IPL'd when they drop down again. So it's worth keeping an eye on that particular area. Also, the jobs in system over the left-hand side there, 1591. So these are not just active jobs, but any job that lives on a queue, is active, or has a spool file in the system would still clock up an active job. Here's a useful subset, works is file asterisk STG. So this is a storage subset. And two system values on here are of particular interest to me. The queue storage LOWACN and LMT. What these allow you to do is to set a limit, a kind of lower limit for when storage is just due to run out. And when that limit is hit, you can perform an action. So this is the ship default. This is shipped to 5%. So when SysPass has hit 95%, it has 5% left. The action is going to take place. So the action defined in the system value is going to take place. Now this action can send a message to a queue, and you can get your favorite monitoring tool to pick this up and to notify you. You can call an exit program. You can even, quite dangerously, end the machine to a restricted state, or even IPL the box. So it's worth taking a look at those two system values, QSTG, LOW, LMT, and ACN, and see what yours are set to. DispObsD, this is great. It can be very specific or very generic. So this is display object description. So you can pinpoint a single library or all objects in all libraries and push that to an out file. Once you've got that out file, the downside is you need to write your own query to interrogate that. You also need to have query installed on your box, but very powerful all the same. Display file description. Well, what can we see with this? Similar to the DispObs description, we can be very specific, we can be very generic. There's a lot of information on the type of information prompt that you can extract using this command. And again, you can use the out file. Same with the previous command, you've got to write your own queries to interrogate this. You can find things such as whether reuse deleted records is turned on or off, maybe the maximum number of members, and also how to increment the member size, what this is set to on a particular file should you receive the dreaded CPA 5305 file is full. This is one I'm sure many of you are familiar with, reorganize physical file member. So if you find that some of your applications have lots of deleted records, you can use reorganize physical file member to reorganize them to reduce the size that they occupy on the system. Now from 6.1, so some years ago now, you can actually do a reorg while active, so a reorg while the file is in use. But in order to do this, the file will need to be journaled, albeit temporarily. Also note, when using this command, you'll have no idea how long this is going to last. There's no real way to tell. It can depend on a lot of things, how big the file is, how many records there are to reclaim, what other activities there are in the box. So very powerful, but kind of used with caution, really. WorkJourn allows you to view all the journals and eventually journal receivers that are on your machine. Now, with the advent of HA, high availability, and with more and more people using logical replication, you'll find that your journals and your journal receiver count will probably increase. The pair or the twin to this is WorkJourn so work journal attribute. This allows you to look at the associated receivers to see their size, their attach, their detach date, before making a decision whether to delete them or not. Now this deleting of the journal receivers can actually be set on the journal receiver itself. You can say whether you'd want to leave it manual or leave it up to the system. QHist. I'm sure everybody's familiar with QHist, but when you do a disk-log from a command line, what you're basically seeing is a formatted version of the collected QHist files residing in QSys. They used to be tiny, but nowadays everything gets logged. These can get absolutely huge, and depending on what you have your QHist log sys system value set to, depends on how many you'll get. Work with libraries, very powerful, along with its predecessor, the disklib, but you have to drill into each library one at a time. So very cumbersome. Two other very powerful commands here. The print diskinf and the print dirinf commands. These commands rely on you previously having run a retrieve diskinf and a retrieve dirinf. So let me jump through here. Here's a print diskinf. So this is on a machine where I've previously run a retrieve diskinf. And this is the kind of thing that it can provide. It's fairly useful, but what is it telling me? It's given me a point in time and offers no real method of comparing different periods. I can see that QGPL is the biggest library on my box, but I don't know how much it's grown. How big was it yesterday or last month or last year? It's a snapshot. It's a point in time. So cleanup commands built into the operating system, which you can access using the Go space cleanup, are some automated actions. These are quite neat. These have been around since day one, really. The downside is they're very generic and very limited. So there are some limitations here. It does clean up kind of user message queues and some job logs and that kind of thing, but there are some limitations. It doesn't touch your application data at all, so there's no housekeeping done in there. It doesn't touch the IFS, which at the start is a real dumping ground. It doesn't handle deleted records in physical files, and it doesn't really handle libraries. So it's at a very high level and could probably do with a few enhancements in there. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to let Sarah loose. I'll just change the presenter to be Sarah.
Yeah, if you'll just continue with the presentation for me. I got a couple more screens, right?
Yeah, just bear with me, Sarah.
There we go. So let's talk about what Robot Space is going to do for you. Robot Space is going to give you eyes into the IFS. We actually can show you and give you the ability to drill down into the directories, see the objects, what the size of objects within your different directories in the IFS is. We're going to give you the ability to not just see overall disk growth, but we're going to give you a sight on your independent ASP if you're using those so that you can see growth there also. And you'll also have the ability to dive down into the independent ASP and see what objects reside out there also. We're going to save you time creating reports that you're doing manually right now. We've got some canned already for you. You can schedule those to run weekly, daily, however often you want. And we're also going to add in more detail cleanup options for you. We're going to give you the ability to go into the IFS and say, okay, this directory, these type of files, if they're out there for 10 days or longer, go ahead and mark them to be deleted. And then Robot Space can actually go out and delete those objects for you. Go to the next slide for me. Yeah. So Robot Space has a couple different areas. And if we start in the upper left-hand corner, we've got some job monitors within the product that I'm going to be showing you. We can monitor queue temp space, job temporary storage space, jobs that are using are creating large amounts of spool files. We also are going to be able to show you ASP and independent ASP growth. So we'll take a look at those. We have what we call storage audits, and a storage audit is going to give you the ability to actually do some cleanup on your system. We've got more than 20 pre-designed storage audit tasks that come with the product that allow you to go out and look for different kinds of things. Go out and identify duplicate libraries. So they may have different names, but the objects within are the same, close to the same size, that type of thing. We can also look at duplicate objects or directories. We can identify old save files for you. And also we can go and purge your history logs. We can age IFS objects, as I've talked about. One of the things that I like to start customers with is we'll start running a storage audit task that just goes out and shows you objects in the last 24 hours that were new or restored to your system. You'll be surprised at how many objects just in a 24-hour period actually got created or were restored to your system. So these are just some of the things that our storage audits will do. We also have storage collections that will go out and take a look at the overall system usage and allow you to see all the libraries that exist on your system and drill down into the objects and members within those libraries, along with the IFS. So we'll take a look at that a little in a little bit also. We've got different kinds of graphs and trends. We have usage graphs and trends. So if you click on a library and have enough history out there, we'll show you how that library or how that IFS directory will grow in the next 6 months or a year, so you can start planning and be able to not be caught by surprise with any of your DASD growth. We also have different kinds of notification options within Robot Space. We tie into Robot Alert, Robot Schedule, and Robot Network, along with any other messaging monitoring package that you might have. Okay.
That's great. So, and of course, just while you're sharing your screen there, all of the commands that I shared were green screen. Everything you're going to share is modern and graphical.
Yes. Okay, are you seeing my Robot Space Explorer at this point?
Yes, indeed.
All right, lovely. So I'm going to start out at the very top here. I am connected to a system that we call Wisdom. And Wisdom, I've got some different monitors defined. First of all is my ASP utilization monitor. I've got one for SysBase, which is ASP 001. And if you look down below here, I have different thresholds that have been defined. I can have up to 3. So I don't have any threshold levels set at level 1, but I am going to get some notification at level 2 and at level 3. So these are going to come into play prior to what's been predefined on the IBM I with the OS. So this is going to let you know things are growing, things are, maybe you need to start looking at things much sooner than, oh, hey, guess what? You got an IPL. So we've got that. If I go down, I can drill into my summary history, and this is showing me what my usage has been over the last year. The red line is showing me peak used. The blue line is average, and the black line up at the top is my total storage available. So I've had a couple times, looks like back in September and maybe October, if I can get this, give me a date. That was on October 3rd. I hit a peak also. So I can come in here and I've got the ability to screen capture this also. So that gave me SysBase. Here's my independent ASP. I can drill down into that, and I'm just going to look at the summary data here. We're pretty even keel here. We only had one blip that went a little bit high back in June. Otherwise, we're pretty stable. The independent Aspen aren't going very high here. But this allows me to see what's going on in there. I told you that we also have some other monitors. We have the job temporary storage monitor that'll go out and look at all jobs on the system, take a look at how much temporary storage they're using, and can notify me if they're using more. In this case, I've defined a threshold of 300 meg, and it's going out and checking those every 10 minutes. So that's just something that's going on with those monitors. It also is taking a look at Qtemp storage used by different jobs, on all the jobs on the system, and how many spool files are being used. I'm going to jump down into storage collections. Collections are something that you schedule to run daily, weekly, or maybe even hourly. It depends on how fluid your system is and how much information you need to capture. In this case, I'm going to drill down and look at our collection history. I've got history now for the last year, and I'm going to open up my most current one. This is showing me, when I click on libraries, it's showing me all my libraries that I've got information that exist on the system. We're sorting them by their size. So my largest library on this system is Q Performance Data, and it's 41 gig. If I wanted to, I've got different columns here that I can move around so that I could actually click and let's see, let's do this. And I'm going to grab my top 8, 9, 10. So I could actually grab this and make it into a report, just take my selected records, and now I've got a listing of my top 10 libraries on my system. I could send that out to people in HTML or PDF or just plain text. Allows me to grab that information really quickly. It also is going to show me new libraries that were added since my previous collection. So I ran, the previous one was on the 14th of April. So a week ago, in that 1 week, I had one library that was added to the system. I can drill down into the objects within libraries. If I do this, I'm showing you right now the largest object across all libraries on my system. So that's how this is sorting. If I wanted to, I could have it sort by growth percentage or maybe just the growth of the objects. And so that might change everything a little bit. Again, I can move around the columns and make this display the way I want to. Let's look at IFS directories. I've got the ability now to drill down into my IFS. I could actually look at the objects that reside within that directory. This might take a minute or two. Oh, we're maybe summarizing that one. Let's go to something that's going to give me, here we go. So here I'm now able to see the objects that exist within that directory, and I could get information on them also. I am getting close to the end, so I'm going to get out of collections and just bring you into storage audits. This is really what I call the bread and butter of the product. This is where you're going to get the ability to do actual cleanup tasks. So in this daily storage audit, I've got it going out in aging output queues. It's listing new and restored objects. It's aging IFS objects. If I click on that, it tells me that it's going out and looking at IFS objects. Let's look at the properties of that. And anything that's been created and existed for more than how long? I know I'm kind of moving around quickly here for you. And if we edit this, anything that's been more than 90 days will go on a list, and then I can also have Robot Space actually go out and delete those objects. So if I drill down into this and look at the audit history, we can go down and look at the actual spool files that were created. And if I click on this one, this is going to be my report that shows objects that were created or restored in the last 24 hours. And as you can see, there's just a couple things. That was page 2. Now we're on we have 4 pages of objects that just in the last 24 hours created, a meg worth of data. So, and this is a system that doesn't get used a lot. So there's just kind of a quick showing for you of what Robot Space can do for you. Ash, I'll let you take it from here because we're at the bottom of that hour.
Great, yes. Let me just take control back again. You should be able to see my screen. Thank you, Sarah. You managed to cram so much in about 12 to 13 minutes. I'm impressed. It's, I guess, to demo Robot Space properly would take a lot longer. It's such a powerful utility. So I just want to launch just the final poll today. So having seen what I shared, kind of the old-fashioned traditional green screen methods compared to what Sarah has in Robot Space, what kind of follow-up would you prefer? Would you like more information on Robot Space? Maybe a Robot Space demo, a little bit longer than 12 or 13 minutes? Or would you like to go straight into a trial? Or maybe you'd like a tech update to understand maybe how this or other help systems offerings could help you, your business, and your team.
Yeah, I'd love to spend time with any one of you and show you more about Robot Space.
Fantastic. So really, just to follow up, today we've talked about Robot Space, which for help systems falls into the IT and operations management category, where we offer monitoring, automation, capacity planning, and reporting, not just on but pretty much on any platform you're likely to run in your business. And help systems also have a large number of cyber security solutions, again, not just on IBM but spanning Windows, Linux, Unix. We also have business intelligence and full end-to-end document management. So that really just leaves me today to thank you for attending and also to thank Sarah for her technical expertise in sharing some of the highlights of Robot Space. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, guys.